Okay, we're back. Good afternoon, everyone. We just have a quick report out from Counsel.
Thank you.
We'll do the pledge.
There's nothing to report out on item 3A. On item 3B, the board has directed staff to create, if necessary, an ad hoc search committee to help assist with narrowing the number of applicants for the executive director and bringing those back to the board.
And that search committee has no members of the board,
Correct.
just to be clear. I'll invite us all to the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now's the time open for any members of the public that would like to address us on any issue not on the agenda. I don't have any requests. Do we have a request?
President Estramera, we did receive one email. I believe there are copies in the back and for each of you. It's from Jackson Dodge, and he says, no further diversions of the Tuolumne.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Okay, we'll move right along to approval of the minutes of August 16th from our last regular meeting.
I move we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those for motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We don't have anything on the consent calendar today. We'll move right along to discussion items. Our first reading of the Conflict of Interest Code. At this time, could staff please provide the report for the Conflict of Interest Code?
Yes.
Ms. Morris?
Thank you very much. Essentially, this is an informational item. We adopted the investment policy, and we've now been able to finish completion of a draft conflict of interest code. It requires, because we're multi-county, a 45-day comment period. We wanted to bring the conflict of interest code to the board's attention, and we plan on posting it and complying with the law and bringing it back for your consideration in probably the earliest in November meeting, once we've complied with that 45-day comment period and received all comments. And I think I can provide a quick overview. Obviously, it's a requirement under the government code section. And if you take a look at it, it explains, the code explains the different types of reporters. There's officials who manage public investments, and they report on all categories. That includes the board members, alternates, and treasurer. And then there's designated positions, and there's separate disclosure categories that are tailored to the kinds of jobs and decisions they make for the agency. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes.
I have a question. Back here on the designated positions governed by the Conflict of Interest Code, I'm looking and I'm seeing, of course, many of these are filled by interim folks at the moment. As I was looking at the list of interim positions, which is further on in the Executive Director's report, there are several positions which have been filled by the interim, and most of those have been listed here as the designated positions, except for procurement manager and real property manager. Those aren't listed in the designated positions that are governed by the Conflict of Interest Code. Is that a purposeful omission or what?
Well, as Steph is getting ready to respond, let me tell you that my executive director's report, these interim positions, many of them don't have formal titles. This is not like a job title.
Okay.
It's filling a function. What Steph has used in the Conflict of Interest Code are official titles that appeared on a draft organizational chart, and so those are the more official terms. The ones in my executive director's report are more about functional terms we're using, and you'll probably see some overlap, and you'll see that I probably was wrong.
Okay, so there was some overlap, but there's some people who have like the real property. Are they actually do they come under conflict of interest
So
codes under
actually,
some
if you
other?
look on page A2, if you turn to the next page, property acquisition manager is listed as a designated reporter.
Oh, it is, okay,
And
sorry.
I think that the real property is a holdover language, and that the property acquisition is falling under this category.
Got it.
And we just used the formal org chart that was presented to you in the first board meeting.
Good, okay, I just was wondering because some of them were the exact title and some weren't, so, okay,
And
thank
we'll
you.
update those as we go along,
Okay,
probably annually.
Annual.
And by November, if you have any others that come up,
Right.
we'll include them.
okay, thank you.
Okay, there's nothing further. So we'd invite comments from folks. We got 45 days. So let us know what you think, who should be added, taken off, or subtracted, or added, whatever you think. We'll move on to B then, consider passing resolution to award contract to supply a project management info system.
President
Mr.
Escamera, it's my pleasure to introduce Harry Sue,
Good
who's
afternoon, Mr. Su.
our interim IT manager, and he's going to give the presentation today.
Great.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the DCA Board. The action before you is to authorize the Executive Director to negotiate and execute an agreement with Trimble eBuilder for cloud-based project management information systems with an initial contract amount of $855,000 over 5 years and future contract amendments to meet evolving needs with a not-to-exceed amount of $1.6 million. By way of background, successful program management, especially mega projects like water fix, requires accurate and complete data collection, and the data should be secure from unauthorized access and updates. There should be continuous analysis and forecasting and timely, transparent reporting of the status of projects, expenditures, and timelines. Successful program management requires a project management information system for project control and reporting tasks related to funding, commitments, encumbrances, expenditures, risk projections, and to provide early identification of problems as they arise. It allows you to implement a project management technique called earned value, which lets you measure how a project is doing in terms of budgets, costs, and schedules. And implementing a PMI system is a best practice because they typically save you between 5 to 10% overall over the project life. The PMIS will serve numerous stakeholders in addition to the DCA, shown in the middle of the diagram. And the related stakeholders include, of course, the DCO, the DWR, as well as the DCA members. It also serves the subcontractors and the prime contractors and also external agencies. We issued an RFP on August 13th and 5 firms submitted responses. We convened a DCA panel who evaluated the responses based on qualifications-based criteria, and we shortlisted 2 of the highest scoring firms for an in-person vendor demo. The top scoring vendor after the demo was Trimble eBuilder, and they are recommended for negotiations and award today. The negotiations leading up to a final contract will take a couple of weeks, and we think the deployment will take between 6 to 9 months to fully implement. And to recap, the funding request is for $855,633 over 5 years for software licenses, implementation services and professional service fees, training for the trainers as well as users, things like maintenance for software patches, software assurance to ensure that we receive future versions of the software and help desk support, and future enhancements and amendment not to exceed a total amount of 1.6 for things such as enhanced financial dashboards, potentially a document management system, and additional system upgrades as the needs of the DCA evolve. The recommended action is to authorize the director to negotiate and execute an agreement with Trimble eBuilder to provide for a PMIS cloud solution and for future enhancements with a total not to exceed project budget of $1.6 million. And that concludes my presentation. Be happy to take on questions.
Thank you, Mr. Su. Questions?
No, I'd make a motion to adopt the staff's recommendation for authorizing the executive director to enter into a multi-year agreement with Trimble eBuilder per the detailed recommendation.
I second.
Motion is second then to adopt staff's recommendation. Any discussion, questions? Okay, those for motion, say aye. Aye.
Do we need public input?
Well, the public's, I always welcome public input on every item on the agenda. So, of course, I request that you ask us so I can prepare and make sure that you're included. However, just as Sarah mentioned, we always welcome public comments on every issue that's on the agenda. So I'm sorry I didn't call for it, but I had no request. In any case, if there be none, then those for motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Okay, the ayes have it unanimously, and we'll move on to the next. But remember, the public's always welcome.
The next item is our logo selection.
Oh, boy, especially on this one. Unfortunately, I think Mark said he couldn't make it today, so we'll have to have the rest of you guys sub for him.
Because several of our options incorporated the WaterFix logo that's been in use by DWR, we did reach out to them and make sure that there were no copyright issues or anything else. So the response I got from them was not only that we have the authority to use that WaterFix logo and incorporate it, but that they'd strongly encourage us to do so. They really did like the idea of a continuity of branding. So just so you know, that came in after I put together the staff report. And now I'll turn it back to you.
Okay.
Oh, gee. Okay,
All right,
Okay, sorry, go
I
ahead.
am not going to say what initially came to my mind in looking at logo number 1. It's cute. So I won't say that. But I would say no. And logo 3, I think you,
look good, though.
3, you already have my opinion as to what that looks like. It was not put in the minutes, but it is on our video feed, so you know what I feel about that one. The others I could live with. I'm looking at the thing, and I think when we look at a logo, in all seriousness, folks, when we look at a logo, we want it to look distinctive. We want it to be something that people can definitely associate with us. We want it to look good on the side of a truck. We want it to look good on a banner. We want it to look good not just in color, but in black and white. And so, yeah, so I liked the fact that you provided a black and white. So something, and I do like the fact that the logo with the three intersecting, as in up there, the 3 intersecting water droplets, I do like the fact that it brings in, one is green. I think last time we had somebody who said they really wanted to see green implemented somewhere in our logo. And so that has green in it, which it's the base. So agriculture as the base is really kind of a nice touch. So, and I also thought it was quite stylish to look at the DCA kind of running into each other like that. So I think that that's a very good looking logo. I think we could live with it. I think it would look good on our letterhead. It would look good on our trucks. That's what I think.
Second.
And I think, Sarah, you did a wonderful job. I agree with you 100%. And since Steve's already seconded, I think, going back to Jill's point, continuity is really important. You already got an image out there. We're using that image, and so I think you've articulated it well. Let's stick with it. And it looks good in black and white or in bright colors. And you can make that work on a truck anytime. You can always design.
A truck, a banner,
And it
a
has green in
letterhead,
it.
your cards,
Absolutely.
you know?
No, I agree.
Okay.
All right,
So,
we got a motion. I thought we'd be here all afternoon on this one. But, okay.
I'm sorry, just for the record, can we be clear that because it isn't labeled, it's the logo
labeled
on
main
page
logo.
3 of the agenda?
Well,
It's,
it's the one on the slide up
yeah,
there, too.
it's
And
labeled,
that's not in the minutes, so on
it's
page 3.
labeled main logo.
Page 3.
Great. Let's just be clear. Yes. So, do we have a second?
Yes, you got a second.
Okay,
I
Director
think
Boyd.
you have a
let's vote on it.
unanimous vote. Okay, those for motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Abstentions? Okay,
We're done. Phew. Okay.
unanimous. Okay, now let's discuss what it could have been.
Not non-public, okay.
All right, great. Well, thank you, board. That was
That was
pretty
painless.
quickly done. Thank you. I think everybody appreciates
And I'd like
saving
to
time.
note that the Metropolitan Graphics team is actually the one that came up with this variant, and so 3 cheers to them. Thanks to everybody who helped on it, because I think it was good discussions.
Thank you.
The staff reports.
Yes, staff reports, Executive Director.
You have written reports, and we're here to answer any questions. I don't think we have any verbal reports today, but if you have any questions about any of our written reports, we're happy to
Oh, could you
provide
give us a quick one on the building, just so the public could hear
Sure.
where we are
Um,
on a pursuit?
We have, as I said in my about a month ago, we visited 7 that looked to be about the right size and in the right category. They were all in the Sacramento area, that seemed to be promising for various reasons. And we created a matrix identifying, it was like comparing apples and oranges, just looking at facilities. So, how much space they had, how soon we could move in, whether there was access to parking for those who are visiting, whether it's for board meetings or for the staff themselves, how convenient they were to light rail, how convenient they were to the DWR office, since we're collaborating so closely through the JEPA. So there was this huge matrix of items. Some of the amenities, is it close to places where people can go for lunch, or are they going to disappear for 2 hours to find the nearest food? All of those things went on a spreadsheet, and we were able to use that spreadsheet to narrow it down to 2 facilities that are still, that we're doing a real apples-to-apples comparison. We're doing some, what they call site layouts, guessing at how many cubicles of various sizes, how many offices, boardrooms, conference rooms, et cetera, we need. And then we're going to say, if we did these tenant improvements, how much would it cost? And then we'll have an exact apples to apples, and we'll start negotiating with them to see whether we can get some numbers and information back to you. It looks like it's moving pretty quickly. We may be able to
Great.
bring it at the October board meeting, which would be great. I don't know that we can move in by the end of the year, but hopefully soon thereafter.
Great. Any questions?
No, excellent report.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, yes. That's great.
Keep us updated.
Will do.
Absolutely. General Counsel's report?
It's
Morris?
included in your packet, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, any questions? Thank you. We'll go to the Treasurer's report.
It's also been included in the package, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. No, thank you.
Any questions? As long as it's in the plus area.
That's a good
We're
thing.
happy,
So
yeah.
far.
Okay, any further reports then? All right. Future agenda items.
Mr. President, I would like
Yes.
to suggest that at some point in the near future, sooner rather than later, we talk about project delivery systems, alternatives. I think maybe it would be helpful if we understood what different types of project delivery systems might be available. There are a number of different things other than the traditional design bid build. Contractor, CM at risk, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there. I think it would be helpful if we had some sort of presentation that described to us what those various types are and what the associated risks are, and how the risk changes with the various types of project delivery methods that might be available. And the reason I suggest that we do this sooner rather than later is the further we get along on design of the project, the less options we have going forward.
Got it.
So now is a good time as any. I'd rather see it done sooner rather than later, so we have as many options as possible moving forward. Plus, we have the added benefit of we're looking for agenda items, at least for the next meeting or two, maybe.
That's true.
Well, we'll try and figure out whether we can get it in time for the October meeting, but never fear, because the October meeting, as I said earlier, we're hoping to bring 4 contracts for authorization, and that would be the geotechnical, which is probably the most critical because it'll help define the parameters for the project. The engineering design manager, the real property, and the surveying. So those will be 4 big ones. They'll probably all be fairly big discussion items. We'll try to get this to, if not at the October meeting, in the November meeting. I think that there are a lot of statutory twists when you're talking about state water contract options too. So we'll have to figure out how to put that so it's explained in a reasonable way.
No, I understand that, and that's why, another reason why I think it needs to be considered sooner rather than later. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. I
Sarah?
had something to say, which is kind of off that topic, but
Sure.
as you can see from my thing, I am a member at large, and so I represent a number of different agencies, not just one agency as everyone else does. So I just wanted to state to those agencies who may be tuning in on this that I will be contacting you so that you know that I have your interest at heart, and not just as a representative of Zone 7. That I'm representing all of the smaller agencies who are not represented directly on this board. And so please feel free to contact me, and I'm going to try to reach out and dialogue with you as well.
Thank you. Anything else for the future agenda items? Okay, I think that'll be enough for the October meeting, and then we'll have some more then. Well, thank you all for joining us this afternoon. As we go along, we'll get a lot longer. Thank you very much. So we're adjourned till our October meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay.
See you.